welcome. So
characteristic. Yeah, is that the
characteristics,
character you
what?
be? Right.
Yeah. Why don't you welcome us again, Missy?
Great. Well, welcome to the Monday night. We're here to support you in, finding out what really works for you because you are unique and very special. And and we know that we all have different resources, which means we have different experiences, right? And those experiences affect us. And so what works for you? That's what we're going to find out, right? What works for you?
Yeah. I'd like for you to kind of elaborate a little bit, because we're in this work and we know what we're saying, but when you're not in this work, you're like experiences. What does that mean, experiences? So give us what an experience is, because I don't know. I think for me, I didn't get it. I didn't get experiences because it's like the fish in water theory. It's like you live in the water. You're a fish. You live in the water. You do what fish do. You poop in your water. You eat your water. You drink the algae. You're in the environment, and that's the environment that you grow up. You don't know that that's an experience that you're experiencing at that moment in time, or from the past, until you move out. Have you ever been a young adult, teenager, and you move out of your state, out of your country, out of your household, and now you're doing your own grocery shopping, and you're like, well, this is what my parents usually buy, bologna and white bread. But does that mean you have to buy bologna and white bread? No, like you have options and you have choice because you do. But what do we end up doing? We end up buying the same meals, the same programs, and that goes to say the same experiences. So if you grow up in a household where dad was angry, mom was resentful, brothers and sisters were the doggy dog world, like I beat you up because mom beat me up, and so those are all programs. So an experience can be physically, emotionally, mentally. Look, how many mental experiences do we have? How many upsets do we have out there? We wake up in the morning and I was already angry. I was already disappointed. It was a program. I had a program that was called Already Always. Like, I already know. I'm visiting, for some of you that don't know, I'm visiting my family here in Los Angeles, in California, and I have an already always of who's going to be what,
yeah,
and why they're going to be how they are. And I actually played a old dealing with difficult people, an old video that we did, Tammy, and I replayed it, and I was like, oh, who do I want to be? So I got some tips out of myself, like, who do I want to be? And I want to be calm. I want to be present. Yep. I don't want to have this already always thinking about the experience or the environment or the people or the places or the things.
Yeah.
Welcome.
So when I say experiences, the things that happen to you. So say that you're feeling sad. Maybe you went to work and somebody was late and you're angry. Let's just say angry, okay? And they're late for work and you're angry at them. So your experience of having been late before and someone being angry, or seeing your parents be angry when somebody's late, are what actually is making that feeling come up for you. So
this is really big. I think I need you to kind of go back a little bit, because I get it, but I'm barely getting it, because this is really the foundation of why we're angry, why we're sad, why we're unhappy, why do bad things always happen to me? Why am I always sick? So just go back a couple steps.
So the experiences that we've had in life really let our brain know this is how we respond. So anger just comes up because somebody's late, and we might even question, like, why did I get angry about that? Have you guys ever had that where you're feeling like, I don't know where that came from, or why am I angry all of a sudden? And the experiences are dictating what's going on until we know or notice and internally unravel, I guess, like, where did this come from? Where did I learn it? And so these series of questions can really be helpful for us, that just allow us to think from a different perspective. Mom always bought white bread. How come I'm buying white bread? Do I like white bread? You know, is this my favorite bread? Well, no, it's not. So, okay, I'm going to go buy different bread, right? Sometimes we just do things without questioning them. And that's because of our experiences. The brain loves to repeat. The brain loves to repeat. So your experiences are going to be repeating inside of you the same emotional situation, the same feelings, the same dynamics, even, that happen in your life. You're going to perceive things from that perspective.
Yes, this is really big. So there's a couple things you guys can do. Get your peace program journal, open your journal, and then start writing where your patterns are, or what experiences keep occurring. So I had one experience, and I don't know if I can eloquently regurgitate it to you, but I had created a new program where I was like, oh, a warm cappuccino. Like wherever I went, I sought out a cafe that would have warm cappuccino, and that would be a time where I would really sit and be grateful, be in a grateful mood, appreciated the luxury of having a cappuccino with a croissant. So that was like my little manifestation exercise that I was doing. So it's going great. I was seeing the opportunities. I was being invited, and so then I go to Greece. And you know, when you're traveling, things start arising, and they're only coming up so you can clean them and clear them out. If you know that perspective and that framework, if something happens and you're having an experience, it's only there for you to clean it up and clear it out, right? It's not there to dwell and create loops and I knew it and it's always happens to me. Okay, so the cappuccino. So what ended up happening was, like, one day after another day, the experience was for me that something happens and I get disappointed. Someone offered it and did something else. Someone said they were going to meet me there, didn't show up. Someone said, totally forgot. Oh, I was even in Oklahoma in a drive-through, and I had mentioned what I wanted, and the other person did not hear me. And I left, you know, we're on a car, we're in the drive-through. I left very disappointed, very sad. And I realized that was my experience. That is a program I had. Disappointment was my best friend. It kept me in that, it was my best friend. Disappointment was always a part of my life, right? Because it was an old program, an old experience that I'm sure I was disappointed with my parents because they said something or did something. And the best thing for me to do is to say, I'm disappointed. And then I carried that disappointment. And then I forecast that disappointment. And I waited for other people to disappoint me, right? So you just start filtering your life through, you know, it could be anger, it could be unworthiness. But it was this moment where I don't buy cappuccinos anymore. I buy matcha latte, chai teas. Just kidding. It's too hot right now. But it's an opportunity to capture those experiences and rewrite them. And maybe I still need to work on that one a little bit. I don't feel disappointed anymore. It's just an opportunity, if something comes up, to clean it up and clear it out. So what's your cappuccino moment? What is it that, you know, is it the, like, I'm waiting for that shoe to drop? You know, everything's going good. We're getting along. Life is really wonderful. And but in the back of your brain, in the back of experience, in an old program, you're like, I know shit's gonna hit the fan. I know it. I know it. I can feel
Yeah.
it. So what we want you to know is go there and feel it and notice that experience. Notice where you're holding it, that emotion, that sensation. Where have you felt it before? The first time, the worst time, the most recent time. And just notice those patterns. And it's an opportunity for you guys to be aware. I think most of the time I wasn't aware that disappointment was around the corner. I mean, I didn't know. I didn't know that my experience was going to show up in an uglier pair of shoes.
I like
So
that
in
you
that
said
journal,
forecast.
start those forecasts. Yeah, it's my GPS. I'm already typing out disappointment. Where's the avenue that you can take me, brain, to guide me into some disappointment? And the brain's very resourceful. We're like, oh, we know that feeling. We know what happened last time and the time before that. Because it remembers, the brain distorts and deletes, and it also generalizes experiences because it wants to reserve itself. So in your peace program journal, you want to write that.
Oh, I was just going to ask, are you forecasting situations that are going to make you angry? Right? What are we doing before it happens?
Ooh, that's big. What are you doing? What are you thinking? What are you feeling right before that happens? That is huge. That is huge. It takes a while to kind of wrap your brain around that. Like, what do you mean? What was I doing? You were doing something. You were thinking. You were feeling. It's part of that already always way of thinking that is going to eventually create that experience that you no longer want. So what are you doing before you're doing anger?
And when you start to notice that,
you want to write it down.
Yeah. When you start to notice that pattern, like, oh, I had that thought and then she said this. Oh, I had that thought and then this happened. Oh, I had that thought and when you start to notice that pattern, you're going to be like, whoa, am I that powerful? So it's very empowering to know your own patterns. What are you thinking? Because then you can actually do something about it. So have any of you felt like, I just wish I knew what I could do to change this, right? Like they're like this and he's like this and that's happening and this has happening and the whole world's falling apart. I wish I knew what I could do. Anybody ever felt like that? Yeah, good. Because that's kind of saying, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do that can impact the situation or change it. But when we start noticing our own patterns, we're going to be like, ooh, last time I was thinking that, this bad thing happened. Last time I was thinking that, then all of a sudden I got injured, or there was this bad thing, or this terrible phone call, or so then we start to be empowered to say, oh, there's a pattern between that thought and then this occurring in life. And that means you can do something about it, right? Because where's the thought? In them? No, it's in us, right? Do you guys have any takeaways you'd like to share? Like, how is this?
What are you hearing? Yeah, what are you hearing?
Takeaways, understandings, anything that's coming up?
You can type it in the chat, your takeaways, if you don't want to, or just open your mic. It's fine. Are some experiencing showing up for you? Are you like, oh yeah, this thing, that thing? I can see the pattern now. Go ahead, Diane.
you have anything to say, Diane? Uh-oh. I don't know what that is. There's a sound, but we can't hear you. So maybe it's anger, and you're thinking, like all of us, until we know better, is like, they're making me angry. It's them. If they would quit this, if they would stop that, if this wouldn't ever happen again.
And that's one of the things that we talked about is the upper and lower model of the world. When they are doing it to you, we're processing and we're thinking from the lower model of the world. And what we're doing here in anger management class is that we're creating a new perspective, which is the upper model of the world thinking. This is a thinking system, right? This is how are you thinking and how are you processing? Not only that, but it's actually flipping and switching the old patterns, the old behaviors, the old actions, the old hurts and pains, and flipping them to what you want more of. So if you notice what you're thinking, like Tammy was saying, you can, and the upper model of the world is I take responsibility for what's going on in my head, right? Can you talk about I like the filing system.
Yeah.
Talk about the filing system.
That's kind of it's quite a concept to get, and it can really be transformative. So the mindset, what was the first question? I'll talk about the filing system, but what was your first question that you asked? I'm trying to remember.
I was talking about the upper and lower model of upper and lower model of the world.
Sure. So the upper model being I'm responsible for what's inside my head. Ooh. So there's so much freedom in that, because at first I was like, but I'm not, because they're doing it. I'm not responsible for it because they did it. And I'm having these pictures being replayed in my mind, but they're real, they're true. And the truth is they're not real or true anymore if they're not happening at that moment. At the moment they're not happening and I'm replaying it, it's inside of me. And this was probably one of the biggest things I ever learned, as far as like, oh, so that means I just have to stop that image and then I'll feel better. Like, stop that image and put in install a different one and I'll feel better. And so, right, the way the brain works is it has a filing system. So it sees a person and you have an emotion with that person. You love them, you hate them, you don't know them, you think they're stupid, you think they're gorgeous, you know. So it files these things together, just like chocolate equals love, or mountains equal fun, or the ocean equals peace. It's an emotion attached to a physical object. And your experiences will dictate whether it's peaceful or not. If you've had a bad experience on the ocean, it's probably not peaceful. If you had no fun on a mountain, it's probably not fun. So, but the brain's job is to make things very efficient. So it says, oh, well, you felt great when you ate chocolate cake on your birthday. So chocolate cake is happiness. And then it files it in the back and says, every time that you want to be happy, go for chocolate cake. Every time that you eat chocolate cake, you're going to feel happy. So this is called a linking inside of the brain. And it's just for efficient recall. When you smell something, I was talking about this with my daughter, you might smell something. She's like, wow, when I smell this, it totally reminds me of that job I hated. And now I hate the smell. Right? Well, the brain, the smell's the same. She loved it before she worked there, and then she wore it every day, and now she hates it. The brain reorganized and said, you liked that smell, but now it's linked to you being at that job. And now it's linked to a different emotion, a whole different emotion than what she had. And that's just how the brain updates. So
the brain could update fast. Look how fast it updates. Sometimes we think it takes this long, treacherous, programming, or it could change on a dime. It could change in a split second. So some of these memories can change, will change, and they will change fast.
Right.
You know, if the filing system is deep and, you know, you have a lot of Fs, you know, like there's a lot of Fs in the F filing system, it might take a little bit more to, you know, unravel that system in that filing system.
Yeah. So think of this. This could be kind of fun. So, I don't know if you love chocolate or not, but pretend that it's something that you love. Chocolate. Okay. So you're eating chocolate cake or chocolate ice cream or chocolate bar or chocolate kisses, whatever it is. You're eating chocolate. And of course, your brain says you love this flavor, right? You love this taste. And one way that just to show how quickly it could change is, you know, somehow a piece of poop, dog poop, cat poop, human poop got in with your chocolates and you pick it up and you eat it. And you feel it grinding between your teeth, but the smell and the smell's in your throat and stuff. So now the next time you go to eat chocolate, what are you going to be thinking? Right? Your filing system updated from instant love with chocolate to like, oh, it might not be that. I better check. Oh, what if it's, you know, now there's a whole different sensation around it. And so why this is important to anger is because all of it is within your control inside of your mind. Okay. So if seeing that person's face makes you feel angry, then link a different feeling with that. Link a different feeling with that face. Okay. Or imagine a different face. So I was talking to somebody.
Imagine different face.
I was talking to somebody who was like, oh, just their face irritates me. It's so frustrating. I can't get anything done. And they don't want me this and they don't want me that. And oh, and I said, well, if their face was Fufu, your dog, would it feel different? Yes. So inside of our mind, we get to control what we're putting in and allowing and thinking about. So as you're talking to them, if it's your dog's face, your feeling will be different. So you don't have to try. So install the things that can reduce you from this trying and forcing and I'm not good enough and I can't do it, and empower yourself to say, I could imagine that they're yelling at me, but they just sucked a helium balloon. They're yelling at me, but they sound like Mickey Mouse. Wouldn't that feel differently? They're yelling at me, but they have my dog's face on their head. Like, so such a different reaction. So we can create those different reactions by adjusting the links and the files that are in the brain from experiences.
Yes, and right, from experiences, and this is something that we're already doing. Like Tammy was explaining with the chocolate, the chocolate, your favorite chocolate. Now it's like poop chocolate. So we can do it. You have the tools. You already have the tools, and you can practice this. Practice. Say that again, Steve.
Does it take a pause? Like when this happening, do you have to take a pause to do this?
Oh, very good question. So I typically start out with that for sure. Like pause myself, like what's going on? Their face is making me mad. Their eyebrows remind me of somebody I didn't like or something, you know, that they're growling at me or, you know, so I take an assessment and then yes, pause and say, okay, what do I need right now to make myself feel better?
Because usually I go straight into reaction.
Right. And
Yeah.
that's because of your experiences. So this is your experiences taught you in some way, shape, or form that, you know, this is happening, get angry. This is happening, get angry. This is happening. So your brain just says, this is happening. Here's the program. Here's the download of the angry chemicals. So yes, when you know the program and you're like, oh, this is going to happen and I'm going to get angry, then you kind of can prepare yourself. As Rita says, practice, take swimming lessons before you're drowning. So practice the good things, practice the good response, practice the kind feelings before that incident happens. And really stop forecasting it. So if you're thinking, oh, I'm going to run into that person and they're going to bring this up again, and change that picture. Pause, tap, for those that know the tapping. And
Yeah, and this is what when Tammy was when Tammy was talking about pausing, you're taking control. Like now you're able to respond the way you want to respond, right? When you respond, you're taking responsibility for what's going on, and you're not an automatic reaction. So yes, you want to pause, you want to figure out where you're at, because it's only the survival part of your brain that's thinking, oh, I call it, oh shit. Something happens, it triggers the intelligent idiot, and then you go, you react. But now like what Tam was saying, it's better to learn how to swim when you're not drowning. And you're not drowning right now. So learning to pause, learning the stop stress technique, learning the breathing, refocusing, changing the picture. It's your mind, guys. It's your brain. You can change the picture to whatever. If you need to look at the baby, when the baby was a little cute and he was a little puppy, go to your happy memory. Some of the guys love camping. Go camping. They love fishing. They love doing their motorcycle. That is shifting and changing. And your brain goes, oh, I can do that. Oh, and then those neural connections start flattening out. So that person shows up, and you're not thinking about how they upset you, because your brain's all like, oh, that's an old program. It doesn't work anymore. Right?
Yeah. Does that
answer your question, Steve? Okay.
Good. So what are you noticing?
Yeah.
What's your takeaway?
Well, especially I was in California, like Rita was, for my dad's funeral, and I had a lot of family members. And they're all different personalities. Some you get upset with, some you don't. I have 6 brothers and sisters. Now 5, but one of them passed away. But anyway, when you're talking to these people, you notice their different personalities, and some will upset you, especially at a funeral. The emotions come out, this, that, and the other thing. But my wife was there also, and she said something about my daughter, and I got upset. Because I have a stepdaughter, her daughter. And I rarely get upset with her, and I don't say bad things or anything about her daughter. But then she had this is what upset me, because she was saying things. She was drunk. We were drinking, of course. And she said something about my daughter, and I really got upset about it. I go, and I cooled down, and we talked about it, and everything was fine. But it was just a reaction, like I said. Now I know if I had backed off, and I did. I tried to back off, but his emotion was so high there because it was my daughter, and I was defending her.
Yes. And you'll find, those that we love most, probably we have higher emotional responses with. But good job backing off. Afterwards, you can kind of do the recon on it and say, like, so how come that really bothered me so much? What did it mean?
Yeah. That's what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to process that now.
Mm-hmm. Good.
And Steve, you made it mean something. Sorry. You made it mean something, right? Because it's your daughter, you made it mean something. So find out what that meaning is, because we're meaning making machines, right? We like to make that means this, that means that I was like this, or my former partner was like this, or my daughter is, you're calling her, whatever it is, the meaning. Find out what that meaning is. Clean that up. Clean that sensation or that meaning, and that way that filter is not there, because now you will see your wife through the eyes of her calling your daughter something that is not fun for you, or pleasant, or loving, or kind, or thoughtful.
That's what I'm doing. I'm
Very
cleaning
good.
it up, but I'm also, it was working on resolve with her, after the incident happened, I wanted to work with resolve and get a smile, and that's what we did. We ended up laughing. So it
Hey,
wasn't, 100%
Awesome.
underlying feelings, but I'm letting it go too, at the
right.
same time. So
Very good.
That's awesome. I love that. I love to hear that you were cleaning that up.
And that you guys laugh
That's
together.
great. That's a
Right.
win.
yeah,
Yeah, that's a huge win.
Yes.
Good job.
And in those moments, like this takes practice. So you want to be taking your swimming lessons when someone's talking and you feel your anger rising, change their voice inside your head. Imagine it's a symphony or Donald Duck, or I really like the one where they sucked a helium balloon, because I don't have to work at like, calm down and don't think this way about them and all these don'ts that we put ourselves through. When I just change their voice so it sounds, I'm imagining, right? I get to use my imagination power because I'm a human and we get that skill. And we're doing it all the time when we're forecasting this bad thing that's going to happen, right? So imagine, it's this funny, silly voice that makes the emotion isn't strong, and then you're doing it for yourself as opposed to, oh, I better calm down. I better. Just make it sound different and it will feel different. And that's very powerful. The greatest minds in the world use imagination. I just heard somebody talking like, millionaires use their voice and use communication and speaking and sales and all kinds of things. Billionaires use their imagination. It's a very powerful mechanism, and it will create automatic sensations in the body, right? So use that billionaire imagination and help yourself to keep floating, keep swimming.
Definitely. I'm gonna go ahead and we'll finish the Zoom call, I mean, the YouTube live here, and we welcome you, people, just to practice some of these techniques, listen to some of the training, learn to take responsibility for yourself and what you're thinking, learn to rewrite those or release the charge or the emotions, and what else? What else can they do? Keep coming back. It works if you work it, and you're